Hi, Emma. Welcome to the Brag. It's really great to have you here.
Hey Leah, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Cool. All right, let's just get stuck in. I'm really excited about
Okay.
this one. It's a little bit different than our
Are you
usual one, but I think some
okay?
really, really important lessons.
Good, good.
Um,
I like to be different, so that probably
hey,
fits. Yeah.
there you go. Even better.
There you go.
All right. So, Emma, you've been building wealth through property for 20 years now.
Hmm.
Can you paint us a picture of what that journey looked like from the first property to where you are today?
Okay. So probably quite a classic journey if you watch any of the property porn
Yeah.
on TV. So we started with a little studio flat where we literally had a bunk bed and our sofa under it. But it was on the ground floor and had a big garden. We got planning permission to turn it into a two-bedroom place,
Ooh.
and that was how we got started. So that was the beginning. So that involved washing dishes in the bath when we didn't have a kitchen for a period of time. It involved a lot of painting and a lot of manual labor. There was one point where, like, we were living there as the work went on, and there was one point where I couldn't even put my fingers through my hair. There was so much dust. Um, so it was one of those things, like first experience, and like we were doing it on a shoestring budget.
Yeah.
So everything we could do, we had to do. So I had my sister came over and helped us tile the bathroom, and all sorts of things like that. Um, and then we've gone through various cycles of like doing full life cycle projects. So that's
Yeah.
buying something, getting planning permission, then doing the work to it and selling it. Um, so like that kind of end to end piece. And
Yeah.
now we really focus on um, adding value through like planning gain or change of use or like reconfiguration. So kind of looking at something and saying, actually, that's not optimized.
Mm,
So for example, like big industrial warehouses now, lots of people want small spaces, so small businesses. Um, and so if you can buy something and I guess create what the market needs and you have the
yeah.
flexibility, so then that's what we'll do, get the change of use or change it in some way that adds value or releases value.
Yeah.
And then we'll typically sell it on then at that stage. So before doing any work, because um, when you have no alternatives, then end to end is a good way
Okay.
to make money and to kind of create value. But actually, the riskiest bit is the building bit. So if you can exit before that, then you're de-risking the project to a certain extent and unlocking some of the value while still there's still opportunity for someone else who's better placed to do it. So you'd get maybe a small builder who would come along when they have the
Yeah.
certainty of planning permission in place,
Yeah.
and they will pick up the project and then over to them. So that's kind of the evolution from
Cool.
hands-on doing everything. I used to I had a reflection once at home for a hen weekend, with kind of
Yeah.
friends you haven't seen for a while, and somebody asked me, what was my hobby and what did I do outside of work. I was thinking, oh God, like I go to B&Q and buy bathroom suites. That's what I do on my weekends. I just realizing that like every spare minute was kind of dedicated to that and making it
Yeah.
work for a couple of years. Yeah. So that was a bit of a realization.
I guess you kind of forget when it's work. I guess if you're enjoying it, if you're passionate about it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So I didn't consider it, I suppose I did consider it work, but not work per se. Like I really enjoyed doing it. And it was, there's actually lots of problem solving. It's a really,
Yeah.
yeah, I suppose it's active and you're kind of, yeah, getting on with stuff. So that, yeah. But when I had to tell somebody else, I was like, okay, actually, that just, yeah, goes to show, yeah, that I work my real job and then I do this.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So. Yeah.
I love it. But you're
Yeah.
right. It's so important to have downtime and
Mm,
playtime as well for
yeah. Yeah.
the
For other
brain.
things. Yeah, for sure. You can do it for a while, and I guess if you enjoy it, um, then there's a certain amount of relaxation too. But yeah, sometimes you just need to get away from everything,
Yeah.
and have a break. So yeah.
Yes. 100%. I hear you. The brain is always going.
Yeah.
Um, the first property sale must have been a huge confidence boost
Mm,
after taking such a risk. What did that win prove to you about yourself and your ability to make this work?
mm. Yeah. So I guess it was, I guess the validation,
Yeah.
um, that it would work. So you kind of take a risk and you think, okay, I know I have the skills to do this, but there are so many other aspects of, things can go wrong, like just market conditions and different stuff that you have no control
Mhm.
over. So early on, we used to have like part of our sort of investing philosophy was we'd buy something that the worst case scenario for us would be that we would have to live in it.
Okay.
And that was kind of, if that's the worst outcome of a
Yes.
risk that you take, well then that's pretty okay. Um, but being able to do the first project and see it all the way through to the end, and then to be able to sell it was okay. Yeah, this does work. We can make this work,
Yeah.
and I guess gives you the confidence to do it again. You have the experience, and then
Yeah.
um, and I guess I guess you're always iterating, from the lessons, from the things you like to do. So pretty quickly, I learned, you know, if you have the money, always pay the person who's qualified to do the job.
Mm, okay.
So while I can, paint and do other kind of DIY tasks like tiling and stuff,
Yeah.
my finish is not as good. I take longer.
Yeah.
So actually, if particularly in the scenario we were in, renovating and having jobs, if your
Mm.
job pays you more than it costs to, someone else, then that's definitely, I think that's, better. Um, it's a better approach. But of course, if you start at the very beginning when
Mm.
money is so tight, then obviously you have to consider the things you can do as a way of earning into the project. But yeah, so yeah, the first one, yeah, that was the first kind of big win. Um, Works, and moved on to the next project, and then it was I guess it's a ladder after that. I mean, it really is a property ladder. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you just keep going. Is it kind of like the story with the paperclip?
Kind of like the story, yes, of the paperclip. As long as yes, I think you have to make good trades always.
Yeah.
Be sure of what you're getting. Um, but yeah, it's yeah, yeah, it can be like that. But I guess that's one of the lessons for me was the kind of the knowing,
Yeah.
um, yeah, how many rungs of the ladder to go at a time. Can you take one at a time, or can you jump two or three? And if you do and you fall off, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then I guess, like you said, there's things you can't control, like the market. I
yeah.
mean, can can that change at any time, or can you kind of foresee when it's starting to?
I think in hindsight, there are little telltale
Mm.
signs. So we've kind of been through three of those. So the kind of the classic 2007, 2008
Oh yeah, well, yeah,
crash. Um, and so that was a time when we were glad of our, well, the worst is that we'll live in it philosophy,
yeah,
because we did end up living in that property for a few more years than we intended.
yeah,
But similarly, we had somewhere to live. We'd still chosen somewhere that we were happy to live.
yeah,
So, lots of people lost money. So as things go, it wasn't a bad place to be.
yeah.
Um, then Brexit was the other big. So
Oh,
I'm living in the UK, and most of our stuff is in London and around London. So that was a big
yeah.
thing. Could you see that coming? I don't know, but certainly in hindsight, I can
Yeah,
see how you could analyze your risks
yeah,
should the kind of really unexpected happen, which did happen. Um, so yeah, there are. maybe, yeah, there are definitely are signs, like as in,
Yeah.
if you thought that through and thought, well, if this doesn't go the way that you think is good, then for sure there will be implications. And what are those? And is there anything you can do right now
Yeah.
to minimize that risk? And there may not be, because, property life cycles, purchasing, acquisition moves so slowly. There may not be anything then at that stage that you can do. But at least, if you have a risk register and you can think through what those things are. And then here, just before the Liz Truss budget in 2022, that
Okay.
summer in the
Yeah.
property market here was really hot, like really sort of boom days, frantic.
Yeah.
And I think, in hindsight, again, like that's definitely a warning signal. It's kind of like, I don't know if you remember Bertie Ahern's phrase about the boom just got boomer or
Yeah.
boomier.
Huh?
Um, Kind of when you feel that, then I think that's a sign to just, well, for me, it depends on your risk appetite, but for me, it's kind of, calm down and okay,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
consider.
No, it makes sense. I mean, if you just, because I guess this is something I've been looking into myself, but like
Mm,
if you just analyze markets from different countries and you can see
yeah,
that,
yeah,
the up
yeah,
and down, and
yeah,
like in Ireland right now we have a huge boom.
yeah,
In
yeah,
France, they had a huge boom
yeah,
in 2022.
yeah,
At the moment, it's crashed.
yeah,
So a huge crash happened in 24, 25. So
yeah,
it just
yeah.
seems to be the nature of things.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely cyclical, like, like all markets. Yeah, how much you can predict and how much you can only see in hindsight. But there definitely are moments where you can kind of feel, okay, this is getting a bit
Yeah.
heady. Um, so yeah.
Um, all right. So you made a smart strategic shift,
Hmm.
moving from risky full developments to buying properties, adding value, then selling to lock in profits partway through.
Yeah.
What made you realize you need this safer approach? And I know you talked about this
Yeah.
already a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess it's a little bit of some of those sort of experiences of kind of realizing, um, I guess, what's going on and becoming more familiar with end to end and having the hindsight of a full project or several full projects behind you. Um, but also, there's just a point where you get tired,
Yeah.
and running a project from end to end. So that, it could be anything from 18 months to 5 years. Like
Oh,
that's a
wow.
long time to kind of keep your energy with something.
Yeah.
Um, and kind of something that I learned from my management consulting project management career, is kind of, as a project manager, you bring the energy.
Hmm.
You keep that thing moving. And if you're not doing that, nobody else is. And that was really, I think that's really true in property development or property investment, that
Yeah.
you always have to be pushing it forward because there's a kind of a phrase, truism, that time kills a deal, that
Oh,
the
yeah.
longer things, go on, the more likelihood there is that it won't work out. And
Yeah.
it is true. It's just that other things happen and whatever, life
Yeah.
changes. And so I guess there was just a point then where the energy to do all of that, it's just waned. Like you just got tired, and having builders phone you on Christmas Eve, with various problems or things they were going to do, whatever. And it's just like, okay, this is too much. You need a break.
Mm.
So actually, we were aware, like it's quite obvious, like all the different strategies there are in property development and investment, and different people. So some people will only buy the risky things and sell them on, and some people will only do
Yeah.
like, it's quite obvious. So that's really what drove I guess, the review of what is our strategy.
Yeah.
And then when you look at it, you think, oh, actually, um, the biggest chunk of the risk is at the end, when you start to build something and you start to, either go into the ground or renovate something. You don't know what's behind the walls.
Yeah.
You've got all of the risks are in there. Whereas when you add value, that that represents a certain amount. Like there are, excuse me, there are very rough rules of thumb in property and investment, and how much overall value is allocated to each aspect. So like the land value, the build value, the builder's profit. Um, and so you can just see that actually as a return on investment, like annualized, actually the better return on your money is to sell after the first phase where you've kind of locked in the value, um,
Okay.
and then building it out.
Yeah.
It's a different phase. Um, so really, that is probably what precipitated it. But then once you start to analyze what's going on, you think, oh, actually, this is a more savvy decision,
Mm.
um, in terms of protecting your investment and de-risking things. Um, but initially, you're just happy to be doing any project, so you just kind
Yeah.
of feel you're getting stuck in, wherever you can.
Makes sense. And I guess you need your starting point as well, right? And you need to understand the full process to find where your niche within.
I think so. Yeah, your sweet spot exactly. Yeah, if you can understand it end to end, then that helps.
Yeah.
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 So
Makes sense.
yeah,
Um, and then you mentioned buying a home by the sea was a big
yeah,
goal.
yeah.
Tell us about achieving that milestone. What did it represent for you beyond the property itself?
Yeah, so really it was, I guess it's a culmination of what you're working for.
Mm.
Because really, at some stage, and we probably get on to talking about this, um, you kind of have to really stand back and ask, what are you working for? Because it's
Yeah.
very easy in property just to take the proceeds of one deal and put them into another.
Yeah.
And you just keep doing that. And then you're like, well, when do I ever get to spend that money? What's the point? What's the point of all that if you just keep
Yeah.
turning it over into bigger and bigger projects? Um, and it's that whole philosophy of, you wait until you retire to enjoy yourself.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Firmly of there's only today.
Yeah.
There is nothing else promised, and actually you need to
Mhm.
enjoy every day and
Mm.
not postpone
Yeah.
things until later. Um, and so I've always, well, I don't know, not always, but maybe in the last 20 years, certainly wanted a house with a view of the sea, um, and just be able to, I can walk out my back door, front door, and there I am. I'm on the beach. I can go for a
Love
walk. Yeah,
it.
it's fabulous. It really is. It's such a fantastic thing to be able to do.
Mm.
Um, and yeah, that was that was kind of, it's not certain that I've made it, but it's kind of like I have enough. This is what I want, and I've been able to do it. And you know, um, that sort of,
Yeah.
yeah. Reward, is it a reward? I don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah,
Totally. For all the
yeah,
hard work that you've been doing. It's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah,
It's a
yeah,
it's
yeah.
it's a huge brag.
It's a huge brag. Yeah,
Yeah.
which I get to then invite friends and family,
Yeah.
to share it, and have
Yeah.
small brags. Although we're not really supposed to do that, are we? So
I know. But hey, that's the point
yeah,
of this.
exactly. Yes, to celebrate. Yeah, that it is a significant achievement.
Yeah.
Because I think whatever our successes are, I think there's
Totally.
something about your time perspective that,
Mm.
we live in the present or looking towards the future, and we don't take time to acknowledge, what has got us here or what the
Yeah.
successes of the past are. It's always the thing that you don't have that you're looking towards,
Yeah.
um, which makes it feel like, that you don't have anything. Whereas in reality, if you sit down to take stock of where you are, then of course
Exactly.
you realize you pretty much probably have 80 or 90% of what you really want.
Yeah.
And that's not a bad place to be. So, yeah.
Yeah. I completely agree. I always remind myself, I'm like, when I'm looking forward to something and to a
Mm,
certain milestone, and I'm like, oh, I
mm,
can't wait.
yeah.
And then I remind myself, I'm like, no, wait a minute. Actually, it's now. It's the
Yeah.
excitement of
Yeah.
getting something that's going to
Yeah.
actually be
Yeah.
more rewarding than when you actually get there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
For sure. Yeah.
so yeah,
But
just remembering.
yeah. Yeah. It's, you kind of have to pull yourself back. You have to have a way of remembering, technique. But yeah. Yeah. So,
Totally.
mm,
Um, Here's what I find fascinating. You
mm,
reached a point where you said, this is enough,
mm,
and stepped back from scaling. In a
mm,
world that glorifies constant growth,
mm,
how did you know that you had reached your enough?
mm. So I guess it goes hand in hand with that piece about having the thing that I wanted, but also the recycling the money and always pushing it forward into another investment. And I was saying, well, why? Like, so,
Yeah.
we'd analyze deals and you'd look at the opportunity and, how much the investment is and what the likely return is. And you go, but why?
Yeah.
What are we going to do with that money? How are we going to spend that?
Mm.
And that sort of, balancing the risk. So obviously it comes at, I think there's a certain tipping point when you have, um, created a certain amount of wealth for yourself, um, then the risk, well, the impact is different, isn't it? So when you have nothing and you're just risking your sweat equity, then okay, you have an experience and you have time lost, but you don't lose anything financially. Whereas if you've been building wealth and you keep
Yeah.
betting the house, literally, um, at some point, no matter how good of an investor you think you are, there's always stuff like, Liz Truss or Brexit or whatever comes
Yeah.
along, kind of
Yeah.
really pull the rug from under you. Um, and yeah, just being able to step back. So I think it's just being conscious.
Yeah.
I don't know particularly what triggered it, but quite often, yes, looking at projects and kind of then you say, okay, they're great, that we'll do that. And then what will we do with it? Oh,
Yeah.
we'll invest in another deal. Okay, and then what will we do? So it's
Yeah.
all, maybe it's like the five whys,
Mm.
that exercise, um, and it's actually, have enough, have the home that I want to live in.
Yeah.
Um, so actually, do I want to keep working and spending my weekends in B&Q buying toilets, or do I want to do other things? And I guess that was the point. Is kind of like I have put in the work, and I want to enjoy it,
Yeah.
because I really do feel that idea of like the future is not guaranteed,
Hmm.
and I'd like to enjoy the fruits of my labor, rather
Yeah.
than kind of saving it up for a day that never comes.
Yeah.
So that's my philosophy around, yeah, what's enough.
Yeah.
Mm.
No, dead right. I mean, I think we're all going through a huge shift now, aren't we, after all the layoffs and a lot of people realizing layoffs, COVID, and a lot of folks realizing that they don't want to give so much of themselves to work
Yeah,
and give more
yeah,
of themselves to their personal life, and
yeah, yeah,
kids and family or
yeah, yeah,
just the
whatever.
health,
Yeah,
to
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think
the
so. I think
dog.
there is the dog. Yeah, the dog is probably number one in a lot of houses. Um, yeah, exactly. So yeah, so I think, yeah, that for me is, kind of
Yeah.
the enough, and yeah, the whole kind of hustle culture and stuff. And you're like, really, who does that benefit?
Mm,
Um, because one of the other kind of conscious decisions I've made as well in investing was, to minimize the amount of leverage that we took. So
yeah.
quite often we're just investing our own money,
Yeah.
because when you're investing other people's money, well, one, you have the responsibility for that, um, but actually then it kind of changes the dynamic of a deal when you, particularly like institutional investment, um, kind of, they almost have more power, in terms of overseeing your project and kind of,
Mm,
doing valuations and sending, people in to analyze where you are. I was thinking, yes, it's that kind of, um, all of the small pie
yeah.
or a slice of a bigger pie. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, the actual absolute amount of money we're getting is similar. So why take on all that extra risk and
Yeah.
stress and kind of involvement of other people? Because as the more people you get involved, the more chaotic anything is. So to try and kind of keep it simple,
Mm,
not, um, yeah, not kind of bring all that added extra pressure, um, into the mix. So that was quite a conscious, um, decision.
yeah. It's great. It's totally de-risking, and then Where was yeah, I'm going to be going into more
Yeah.
detail and question on that in a minute, but
Yes.
um
Hold it.
first of all, you went through a period of being retired and bored
Yeah, I
after
did.
stepping back. What was the transition like, and how did it lead to your current work supporting
Mm.
other entrepreneurs?
So, alongside doing property development, I was
Yeah,
also running a small business. So I started my career in London in management consultancy and
yeah,
then left that to kind of focus on property development. But at the same time, I was also running a small business.
yeah.
Um, and then, not necessarily unexpectedly, but quite quickly, that business was sold. Um,
Okay,
and so all of a sudden, I
cool.
was retired.
Wow.
So I spent a little time, dabbling in golf and tennis, and it's nice, but actually, I find I need balance. So I need, if you're going to rest, then you need something to have rested from. So some amount of, for me, intellectual challenge and stimulation, like what we would mostly term as work. Um, and so then I knew I didn't want to go back into a full time role,
Yeah,
but I wanted to do something. And that's kind of what led me then to coaching and mentoring. So thinking about, what's the things I enjoy doing? So kind of the classic
yeah.
ikigai, the circles, what am I good at? What would add value for other people?
Mm,
What would people pay me to do? Um, and so I've always done, I guess, informal mentoring,
yeah,
coaching sort of approach. I'm I'm the I'm the friend in the group that people come to for the
yeah,
what I do about sort of questions. So I did a coaching qualification then, so executive coaching at Henley Business School. So I wanted to put a structure around what I was going to do and
yeah.
have like access to an evidence base and really understand what techniques worked in what situations, as opposed to just kind of relying on my experience of working with people in the past. So that is what led me here.
Cool.
So now, yeah, mentoring, coaching. I do some volunteering as well, mostly around, yeah, I guess given my skills. So doing mentoring development workshops or
Amazing.
things like that. So
Yeah, and of course you're mentoring through Awaken Hub, right?
and no, so not mentoring with them. I am doing the Awaken Angels,
That's it. Sorry.
yes,
Yes.
cohort. So yeah, so that's another thing that I'm doing then is looking at um, investment.
Yeah,
So outside of property, I have been doing some small investments with
yeah,
people that I will come across, but actually, I really wanted to get into it in a, I guess, like the coaching in a structured way, in um, an Awaken Angels. They run a program where if you're interested in becoming an angel investor, they have essentially a training program and a cohort that goes together. Um, and also a little bit of it's the kind of money where your mouth is. I think we all know around the stats around people investing in women, and
yeah.
Awaken Angels is
Big key.
specifically investing in women
Yeah,
founded businesses on the island of Ireland. So it's something that's kind of connects with me on two bases. So yeah, so things like that as well. I guess helping other people. So obviously, property was my investment of
yeah,
choice, and other people will found a business as kind of their route to kind of their own financial
yeah.
freedom, whatever that means for them. And I just think it's a really satisfying thing to be able to do, kind of your
Mm,
master of your own destiny. Um, and yeah, I really like to support other people in
yeah,
if they want to try that and use their skills for their own endeavors. I think
yeah.
that's a really, yeah, I think it's a really good thing. So yeah, so it's a little bit, that's a bit more money where your mouth is rather than mentoring. But I also do mentor. Um, there's Read Technology, have a Women in Technology
Okay,
program. I do some volunteer mentoring through
amazing.
that. Yeah. And then a few other like accelerators and
Yeah,
charities and things, specifically coaching really on that. But yeah.
amazing. Well, it does make a huge difference, right? Your network of support makes yeah, can make or break really, I find, especially at the early days of any
Yeah,
startup.
definitely. Yeah, you need good connections, but sometimes you just need someone to kind of bounce ideas off and articulate what you're thinking, because actually, when you say it out loud, it sounds very different to just when it's whirling around in your head. And so,
Totally.
actually, I think coaching is really valuable for that.
Yeah,
Allowing someone to kind of yeah, go through the kind of the full process of thinking. So
yeah,
you come to coaching with something in particular that you want to work on, and that gives the person the time and space to work through that thinking, so that
yeah,
the coach is not there to tell them what to do. It's like non-directive. It's really about helping the person,
yeah,
I guess, access the answers that they already have, because I think
yeah.
we know a lot more than we give ourselves credit for. It's
True.
just sometimes the time, literally time and space to think through it. So I think that is really valuable in a business setting, particularly when you're the founder or the CEO.
Mm,
There's rarely someone that you can really share everything with.
yeah.
Um, that's that is also objective. So of course you can go to friends and family, but generally most friends and family will tell you what you want to hear rather than what you need to hear. So
Yes,
it's a good container for that, of getting that sort of advice rather than
totally.
time. Yeah.
Or they tell you stuff out of fear. They love you, right? But they're like, "Why are you not getting a job?"
Yeah. 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 Exactly. Because they have no concept of what is in that world, and their experience of the world has said that's a risky thing to do. Don't do that. And so, they're afraid for you, and they just
Yeah,
want you to have a nice, happy, easy life. And they think
yeah,
that a 9 to 5 is the answer. Um,
exactly.
yeah.
And just to do a bit of midpoint bragging for you, but I think there's
Really.
there's a lot of coaches out there, right? It's a saturated market. It doesn't always have the best what's the word, reputation, I guess, in a
Yeah.
sense. But like I
Yeah.
find it so powerful when you have coaches like yourself that
Yeah.
are actually coming with the experience, but you've got the full breadth of experience, right?
Yeah.
You've had your own business, you've had the investing property business for 20 years,
Yeah.
now an angel investor. So it's really coming from so many angles, which I
Yeah.
think very, very, very powerful.
Yeah, I think so. I think a lot of that though is the empathy. So like I said, I'm not telling
Yes.
someone what to do. So in theory, that shouldn't matter, but it does, because you can empathize, and I guess you can also recognize the places to challenge. The little when people are kind of giving themselves an out, or they're being too hard on themselves,
Yeah.
you can kind of say, actually, is that really true? Do you have evidence for that? Um, Yes. So coaching. I mean, it's an unregulated industry.
Mm,
There is no definition. It's not a protected term. It's not like being an architect, where you can only call yourself an architect if you have a certain qualification.
yeah.
Um, so like people say, how do I become a coach? And you say, well, just change your LinkedIn profile to say coach.
Yeah.
Um, but I think then that's, if you think you want that kind of support, then you do have to do research and figure out what you want. And that's not to say that someone who doesn't have a coaching qualification isn't a good coach and doesn't have lots of
Mm,
experience.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but on the other hand, as well, just because someone does have a qualification, that doesn't necessarily make them a good coach either. So it's one of those things where you do have to you have to understand what you need
Yeah.
in terms of a service, and speak to several people and see what fits best, who you think you're going to work with,
Yeah.
because it's quite an open and vulnerable space,
Yeah.
if you're going to get the most out of coaching. So yeah, you really need to pick the the right partner to work with.
Yeah, it makes sense. I know that myself as an entrepreneur, I found that my mental health and mental state and being and mindset is just
Mm.
number one to
Yeah,
pushing
yeah,
things forward,
yeah,
and any successes. um, so you already spoke a little bit about this, but let's dig in a bit
yeah.
deeper. You've shared some powerful lessons. Don't be over leveraged. Don't push too hard. And if something isn't working, walk away. I'd love to hear a story where one of these principles saved you from a potentially disastrous
Mm.
situation.
Well, actually, my story is a little bit on the opposite. It's how
Okay.
that actually had a beneficial outcome, or at least the
Yeah.
outcome was beneficial. That's not to say that it was the best outcome. Um, but we had bought a property, and this was around about the crash time,
Okay.
um, and tried to sell it. Nobody wanted to buy it. We
Hmm.
put it in an auction. There were no bidders.
Oh yeah.
So that was fine. Like, we weren't over leveraged. We didn't need to sell it. We just wanted to move on and do something different. But we couldn't. But in the end, that project turned out to be one of the best returns that we've ever had,
Oh
because it
wow.
was a house with a plot of land,
Yeah.
and we got planning permission to build two flats on it. And then, because it was the downturn in terms of after the whatever 2007 A crash,
Yeah.
prices and building was cheap. There wasn't a lot of work around.
Yeah.
So we consequently we got planning permission. We built it um, for quite, I guess, an economically advantageous price.
Yeah.
And in the end, it has, as a return, it has been one of the best projects we ever did. But actually,
Wow.
we wanted to sell it. Um, we wanted to move on. We wanted to put the money into something different.
Yeah.
Um, and so that kind of really showed me just don't push too hard. Like, if something's not working, just kind of take that as information. Um,
Yes.
and I also find that when you're pushing too hard, when you're so desperate to make something work,
Yeah.
I think you're not thinking clearly. You're
Mhm.
not being logical and objective. You're kind of,
Yeah.
I, I guess you make sacrifices or concessions
Yeah.
in negotiating that you wouldn't otherwise do, just to get the thing that you think you want.
Yeah.
Um, so that was really a lesson in all of that. So, and they all kind of feed into each other. The don't be over leveraged. Like, if you know if the loan is due to be repaid, and the only way that you have of repaying it is to sell the property, then you're not in a very good position.
Mm.
Um, and so, the same is true. Like, say, in if you're founding a business, do you have enough runway, or do you have enough of your savings to kind of see you through? Because actually, it's that sort of thing. It's a classic. It's a cash flow, isn't it? It's not
Yeah.
really
Totally.
to get you through, and then you're out the hump. But a lot of people don't make it through that dip.
Yeah.
Um, and so that's for me. Yeah, they don't be over leveraged, and also the kind of the forcing things.
Yeah.
Actually, if you're trying too hard, maybe you need to walk away, or
Yeah.
at least slow down, and just to rethink, um, what you're doing, and give yourself a bit more clarity, or distance, I think, from something. So yeah, so it worked out in the end. The not
Mm.
selling that project. Had we sold it and bought something different, I mean, that could have been even better. I'll never know.
Yeah.
Um, but the outcome for the thing that we were trying to flip on was actually still okay in the end. So um,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
I resonate with it so much. Having just gone through the experience of a startup failing, we were
yeah,
100% over leveraged, me and my
yeah,
husband all in.
yeah,
Neither of us working. We got a bit of funding and a little investment,
mm,
not enough.
yeah,
Then I definitely felt like we pushed too hard for too
yeah,
long,
yeah,
and we didn't walk away soon enough. And
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
that's what definitely gets you to a
Yeah.
situation where it's just like, yeah, I think people can smell it, right? They can feel it when you're
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
trying too hard.
Yeah, definitely. And so you know it even in, I guess, social situations,
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
someone's trying too hard, and it's almost repellent, really.
Yeah.
You kind of want to, it's kind of whatever the opposite magnetic field is. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and I think yes, it's true. Like we give away so much that we're not even aware of.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, having a comfortable negotiating position
Yeah.
obviously is ideal, but it allows you to run the to run the negotiation rather than being the person on the receiving end.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah, yeah,
Totally. And not to mention your confidence as well, right? How much that gets
yeah,
hit, I think, when you're in a
yeah.
situation that's not ideal.
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah.
For sure. So yeah, amazing lessons. Now you're helping other entrepreneurs find their version of enough,
Mm,
and supporting founders through Awaken Angels, as
yeah,
we were talking
yeah.
about. How has your property investment journey shaped what you look for in people and projects that you back?
Oh, interesting. Good
Mhm.
question. Um, I guess for me, there's always has to be some reality in it. So property is quite a practical, tangible thing.
Yeah,
Um, but also, if you move in that circle, like you encounter a lot of people that conflate it with much more than it actually is.
okay.
Um, and so maybe it's a little bit bullshit detector. Um, but yeah, that kind of, I suppose, what's it going to do? Like kind of the real basic, simple questions in terms of investing. What's this going to do and who's going to buy it and why would you? And what are the other things there are out there? So
Yeah,
really, yeah, not getting beyond those things. In terms of, so that's in terms of like, where would I invest
mm,
money? Um, and I guess also then some some things about values, um, the impact of the organization and kind of what field is it in and what's it
yeah,
trying to do. Um, so take those things into account as well. But I think that's probably a given for most people. People have their preferences.
totally.
Um, in terms then of coaching and mentoring, I guess it's a little bit more. They choose me as much as I choose them.
Yeah,
So someone, there has to be a good chemistry. Like you have to be able to be honest and open with someone that you're going to, like we said, work with as a coach. So it's as much for the client to select me as I would select um, a
yeah,
client. Then in terms of the mentoring I do, then that's more around areas. So particularly like women in tech is something I'm particularly interested in and supporting. So most of the projects and things that I worked on when I was a consultant were,
yeah,
tech. And I'm also in an organization that is a community membership organization around tech in London. And so, how often do I find myself as the only woman in the room? Um,
yeah,
a, a lot and always and still.
yeah,
So it might only be a small thing, but if I'm going to put
mm,
my time somewhere, then yeah, mentoring women in tech is something that I'm particularly interested in. So that's one of the places I choose to volunteer my time.
yeah.
Mm.
Amazing. And a noble cause, because we know that we need more diversity within the tech world.
Yeah, 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 for
And
sure. Yes, yeah,
it's so important. I know
yeah,
it's something I harp on about all the time,
yeah,
but it's like
yeah,
when you have such a small section of our
yeah,
society building out the technology that affects so much of us,
yeah,
so
yeah,
many of
yeah. It is.
us.
Yeah, it is an important thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, so that it represents everyone. But also just the opportunities, and that women should be able to stay in jobs and
yeah,
advance their careers um,
yeah,
as well, just for themselves, um, for their own whatever satisfaction or achievement, as well as yes, we'd like women involved in designing the systems that we use.
yeah. 100%. I couldn't agree more. Like I started my first business in 2014, and I literally had to start wearing a fake wedding ring because I had business mentors within the community wanting to meet up with me just because I was a young, pretty
Wow.
woman. Um, and then it's just like the experiences. I could tell you stories one day. Fast forward 10 years, and
Yeah.
I thought, no,
Yeah.
it's changed, right? It's
Yeah.
better. I mean,
Yeah.
and I didn't find that I experienced sexism, but then I was on the other end of they only spoke to me about my kids and how's the
Yeah.
kids and
Yeah. Yeah.
take as much time as you need with the
Yeah.
kids. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm building an AI startup. I don't
Yeah.
have time.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
What are you
Yeah.
talking about?
Yeah. But also
So
they're telling you what you should be doing,
yeah,
and how you should be living your life.
yeah.
Yeah. Is yeah. No. There are many hours of conversation on that, but
Oh yes.
that's a different podcast.
Yes, it is indeed. Maybe we'll have to have a episode two.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Perhaps.
episode
Yeah.
two.
Yeah.
All right. Well, the tradition is that I usually do a bit of bragging
Oh,
back.
okay.
Not always the most comfortable, but I think you just had a really, really incredible journey from, starting this 20 years ago,
Mm,
um, doing this while you're working at the same time and, taking that real lean approach, starting with something small and then building that up over time. Some really, really incredible lessons in there and yeah, then just taking all of those various experiences and bringing it all together now within the coaching, I think is incredible and angel investing.
mm,
And I think that any entrepreneurs that end up working with you will be really, really, really lucky.
mm.
Um, because yeah, there's really something to be said, right? There's a lot of people out there that want to help startups but have zero experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's incredible. And a house by the sea. Hey,
Yeah.
how
Well,
amazing!
yeah. If it all goes wrong, at least I have that. Instead
Yeah,
of, yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And yeah, angel investing, backing female entrepreneurs, amazing brag,
Mm,
huge, huge brag in itself.
mm.
So yeah, I just want to say a huge thank you and for coming on the brag.
Thank you very much. I think it's when I saw the topic,
Yeah,
I was like, yes, this is it. We need to have these conversations just to normalize it. It's fine. Talk about your successes.
yeah,
Not, I think it's not just to brag. There is an element of that about sharing your success, but also for yourself to
yeah,
kind of internalize what you've done and realize, yeah, what you've accomplished and use that to give you fuel
yeah,
to do the next thing. Um,
yeah.
and I think, yeah, that yeah, regardless of what we might have been told, um,
Yes,
whatever, in the 80s or the 90s in Ireland for sure. Yes, it is good to celebrate success and
for
share
sure,
it around. Yeah,
for
it is.
sure. You give yourself a little confidence boost. Amazing.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. Clap it away. Thank you.
All right.